Hey guys, it's Jill, and I am going to do some Ancestry DNA how to kind of stuff. I thought the next best step after you've gone through my last couple of steps would be to talk about mirror trees. So you've done all your sorting, you have all your groups of people, whether you have a name or idea of how these people connect or not. You should have them sorted in some kind of fashion at this point, and maybe only be down to, let's say, 8, hopefully 4, but that'd be in a perfect universe where you could figure everything out, but a few main groups. So you have that, and now you're clicking here and really going into all your DNA matches, and we are going to pick some people out of your matches that can really facilitate growing knowledge about the people you're related to. If you're really lucky, you may have some close family, first cousin type matches. That's pretty easy-ish to figure out where you belong with those types of matches. Even second cousin matches are amazing matches and really cut down on the amount of work you have to do. But most of us have third cousin matches to work with. That's just common. Out of most of the people I've spoken to, they have maybe not a huge amount of third cousin matches, but enough of them in enough different groups of families, those groupings we've already made, that they can piece together from that information. So I'm probably going to just do a screenshot on my computer and insert it. On that screen, we are looking for the centimorgans. I've already mentioned this and explained a little bit what it was, but those centimorgans tell you how much DNA you share with that person. Another thing I also spoke about were the charts for using centimorgans and charts for helping you remember how you're related to people, what a second cousin or a third cousin would be. So this kind of lays all of that out for you and makes it more easy to remember. Second cousin, okay, where's second cousin? Second cousin and I share the same great grandparent. And so it shows you on a map, and that visual was really, really important to me. And I'll show you a little bit later how I developed these mirror trees and use these visuals to help me stay in the right area with building, because without that, you can go off in La La Land or whatever. So on that screen that I showed you earlier, you would have seen that that example and I share 160 centimorgans of DNA across 9 DNA segments. So this person, my personal example, doesn't have a tree, but we're going to pretend they do for benefit of those of us searching to find our relationships. So the reason why she's going to be a good candidate for me in this scenario is she falls under the third cousin listing on Ancestry. And I'm going to show you how I confirm that relationship with information on my charts. She falls under that. She has a family tree. She has information. And so, okay, let's take this person out of this group. And so I look at her centimorgan shared, and I pull out my chart. So this chart says 160 centimorgans is most likely a second cousin one time removed or a third cousin. And this one says 160 falls in 2 different cousins, or 2 different categories. So it may be a third cousin, a second cousin twice removed, which seems like unlikely. Second cousin one time removed, half second cousin. So we're looking at all of these options. Most likely, though, from what I can tell looking at all of this, that she is probably going to fall in the third cousin or second cousin one time removed if her and I are in a different generation. I was lucky enough to confirm with this human being that we were born the same year. So we likely fall in the same generation in the family tree. Now that I feel like she's a third cousin, I'm going to concentrate my search on where we would really be third cousins. So if I am here and I go over to third cousin, this lets me know we share the same great grandparent. So that's where I'm going to start my search. This is a very poorly put together drawing or writing that you probably can't barely read, but this is how my brain comprehends this information that I just pulled off this chart. This is me, and this is, I put self for each of these, but myself and herself. So because of this chart, I know we share the same great grandparent. Our great grandparents were then siblings. Our grandparents were cousins. Our parents were second cousins. We are third cousins. So she has a tree. I'm going to, in a way, steal her information. I hate to say it that way because you're not stealing their information. I can't stop playing with my hair. You're not stealing their information, you're using their information. Some people are very weird about this, but if you found it on Ancestry, I can find anybody on Ancestry. I mean, there's not enough personal information there that I don't feel could be harmful. I'm sure there's awful people out there doing awful things. But for the most part, people interested in this information are trying to piece their family together. There are a lot of people with private trees, and be willing to ask them, but it's typically best to wait until you've formulated some kind of hypothesis, or at least have some common surnames, some kind of information to give them. That's just not, hey, I don't know anything, can you help me? It can either be very well received if you're lucky and get to talk to somebody like me who's excited and happy to help people, or you can get people that are scared to death of DNA, do not understand, do not care. And I'm not saying they're bad people. That's just how they are with this stuff. They don't want to share any type of information because the internet is scary. And I try really hard to not have like animosity or irritations by that, because everybody's got their own story. And some of us didn't even know we had a story to have a story about. You know, like, it's this stuff is big for people. People are finding family like me. People are discovering big skeletons in closets, and you name it, across the board, from good to bad to beautiful to ugly, can be discovered with this stuff. So you really have to have an open mind and an open heart to understanding that even though this is very important to you as a searcher, this is not important to everyone. And everyone has their own level of understanding and perspective when it comes to this kind of stuff, and you just have to accept that, or you're going to sit around being ticked off all day that people aren't providing you the information you feel you deserve, so you can find your place. And that's hard. So if you are a searcher like me, looking for a parent, just be ready to deal with those emotions and hopefully deal with them in a good way. Okay, off of the emotional stuff, let's get back to the nuts and bolts of how this works. So I know that, okay, she has a tree, and I'm going to take her tree and start building a hypothesis tree. People label these different ways, but I recommend that you always keep this tree private, because you do not have a right really to like put it out there unless you do a lot of research and for whatever reason. And yes, these people are going to end up being related to you in some way, shape, or form, but don't make that family your responsibility. And because you may be building the tree really quickly and not putting the amount of time, effort, concern, and so forth as you would your personal tree, there may end up being mistakes in it. And it's a hypothesis tree, so you can make mistakes in it. So definitely keep it private, label it as hypothesis. So I think even if it's private, there might be a name for it, whatever. Label it something that you know that this is just an experiment tree, and you're looking for common names and trying to find your place and how you fit with this specific person. I'm sorry, I'm very tired. If you haven't gotten that already, it's been a long day. But I got a lot going on in my life, and you gotta sometimes put nervous energy into good things to get through it. So I'm going to take her information and start building a tree. Now, I don't know which side of her family I'm going to fall on. I don't have any information, but you may have started to recognize common surnames when you were grouping your matches back in the beginning. Maybe take a little time and run through them and look for common names. And there is a search bar where you can search surnames. So maybe you're like, hey, I'm running into Smith a lot, which I hope you're not, because Smith is a hard name because there's so many. But I'm running into a lot of Smiths or Johnsons or whatevers. I'm going to search it. And you search it, and a whole lot of people that you have noted group A, group B, group C, you're like, oh, maybe this is the common name in this family that I'm going to match to, because here I have 4 or 5 out of this large group that all have this common surname coming up. So you're going to want to start building her tree and looking for those names. Now, sometimes it's very hard. Names can be deceiving, especially the more common names. But it can sometimes at least lead you a little bit in the beginning, and becoming familiar with those names is definitely going to help down the road, because you're going to begin to see patterns. So build her tree out, at least, you should probably do it further, but at least to that great grandparent level, because you know that you and her match on that level. So I like to try to take it at least 1 or 2 further, because people in that group, in your groupings that you've created with your original ones, they're not all going to be 3rd cousins. You may have some 4th and 5th cousins, just depending on how much you've grown those groups. I would recommend going out to at least 4, like some people have like thousands of 4th cousins. So I know it could be a big undertaking, but at least your first few pages of matches on Ancestry, because those are the names you're going to see when you start clicking on common matches. It's going to pull up the closest to you as far as how much DNA you share. So those are the ones you really want to focus on sorting. So I think there's 50 matches per page, and I think I sorted between 1 and 200. I'm not sure on the exact amount, probably close to 200, but I was a little obsessed, you know. But I would say at least your first 2 pages on Ancestry, because those are the names you're going to see the most. And third, if you feel like taking the time to do it. So you have your groups, you're building a tree, you're looking for those common names. As I said, I would at least go out. So great-great-grandparent would be 1, 2, 3, 4 generations. I would probably try to take it to 6. Some families are very easy to build out trees. Some families are very difficult. Another problem is finding the surnames for the women. Really spend some time looking at other people's trees that match with your little green hints. Spend time looking at census and whatever. If you hit a brick wall, put some effort into it, but try to keep moving, and just build out as much as you can, up to, you know, like I said, a generation or past the generation you need to work on. After you do that, again, revisit those common surnames. Who does this person match with? And you'll want to go into that shared matches. Okay, who else in this list have I, you know, because they should all be grouped together. Who else in this list has trees? And then look for the common names. Then I say make an educated guess on those, that great-great-grandparent line of, okay, what do these names seem, which ones seem the most likely? If you're not able to do that, you'll have to work on both sides. And you just then build back down. So since you're looking for the sibling of your great-grandparent, you take your their great-grandparent and build out all their siblings. And then you build down. Who are those siblings' children? Because they would be cousins to your grandparent. Then you build down again, and there's lots of resources out there. I'm not going to get into all the tips and tricks of Googling and whatnot. I don't feel like it's my strong suit. I just kept plugging away and searching. You can get a 7-day membership, I think, for free to newspapers.com. I did that when I hit a really big brick wall that I felt was preventing me from finding my father. It wasn't useful in what I was searching for, but I don't know if what I was searching for even exists at this point. So there's a lot of, and I'm sure there's a lot of other videos out there on how to find people. Using Facebook, once I got down to the living people, I'll step back 1 second. Obituaries are huge. If you can find obituary for the grandparent level of the people you're searching, a lot of people put their children and their grandchildren's names in obituaries, and sometimes you may not know exactly where they need to go, especially the like grandchildren of the deceased. It doesn't say what parent they belong to, but at least you can make educated guesses. Hence, this is a hypothesis tree, and try to link information. So now we have a hypothesis tree. Now we are going to do that for our best match with a tree out of every group we have created. And that seems kind of daunting and crazy, but you may not get all the way through your groups. I didn't. I still have a major branch off my biological father that I have not pieced together yet. And I found him without it. So if one group has, you've only made it out 2 generations, you cannot find more information, you're having a really hard time with that one, move on to the next group. And as you start building these groups, you may find the link. So in my very first video, I spoke about how I had these 2 large groups of people, I matched everyone in this group. But no one that I could find from each of the groups matched each other. So I knew that someone from this group and someone from this group married, and I fell underneath. So with the help of my matches, creating those mirror trees, I had one of them built for quite a long time. I finally came in contact with this other match, got that tree built, and within a day or two into building that tree, I hit a name that was very familiar to me, and it was in this other person's tree. And so I'm like, that's where they met. That's the marriage. And I knew where to look because of this chart that I had, the chart's okay, this is my third cousin. We should fall on, we are definitely going to share a great-great-grandparent. And it was my great-great-grandfather was on his line. My great-great-grandmother was on her line. They married each other. And that's how I found my father. So building these trees and finding where your groups marry, and that helps you consolidate groups so you can build and condense down. So you take these 1,000 people, or if you have 200 on your wall like I did, and I've grouped them down. Okay, these are my major groups. These ones all, I think, all belong to my mom's side, and these ones all belong to my dad's side, where I was just working on my dad's side. But if you're an adoptee, you'd have even more because you're looking for both sets of parents. But okay, so I think this one's going to be all my, this group's going to be one of his parents, and this group's going to be another one of his parents. It just helps you to get it down to what makes sense, and it'll get you there. It's very, once you've spent enough time in Ancestry doing that, when you get to the end, it's going to seem like such a piece of cake. Like, got it. I know who my parent is, or at least I know my parent is a child of one of these people. It has to be. So, that can help really narrow your search. I know I fall in this group. I just have to find the right person now. So, yeah, I think that's everything. I really hope that I made any sense. Thank you for watching my video, even though I look pretty worn out. I am. Life is awesome. I'm very happy in general. This Ancestry stuff, I definitely had to take a step back from it for a little while after finding my father. I still try to check matches on a regular basis, make sure I haven't gotten any emails, that kind of thing. But I have some people out there that I really need to spend some time working on their stuff. Dude, my lipstick looked like absolute trash for like the last probably like 15 minutes I was talking. Oh well. I think it's pretty clear that I'm over it, and I'm now gonna go wash my face off and go to bed because I'm old and I'm tired. All right, so I think that's everything. I'm sure after I edit this video and have to re-listen to what I had to say, there'll be more to add. This isn't the last video. I just trying to put out super useful information to anybody out there looking. Please remember to check the description box below. I'm going to list all of the videos that I've done, because if you only do one part of this without the other steps, like, that's not gonna work. So if you have any real comments, questions, concerns, if you need some help, if there's something you've done all of this and you don't know what to do now, please message me. If you do not want to message me here on YouTube where your comment would be public, you are more than welcome to contact me through one of the social medias that I list down below. I have a Facebook page and an Instagram page where I am more than happy to have a private conversation with you if you need some help or guidance and you weren't able to find it here. So anybody watching this video, especially if you've lasted like 30 freaking minutes of me babbling, I hope that you feel that you can reach out to me and know that I truly will help you in any way I can. So I think that's everything. Please remember to take really good care of yourself, and I will see you soon.